Section 3.2, Solving Multi-Step Equations. Your objective is to solve multi-step equations using inverse operations. You will also use the distributive property and combine like terms. Let's do a quick review of two-step equations. Remember that your first step is to undo addition or subtraction, and the second step is to undo multiplication or division. D divided by 12 plus 25 equals 29. Remember that first you needed to undo the addition or the subtraction. So we will undo the plus 25 with the inverse operation of subtracting 25. And we'll do that from both sides. That cancels out the plus 25 and leaves us with D divided by 12. Then you have a positive 29 and a negative 25. They're different signs, so you subtract. 29 minus 25 is 4. The larger number, the 29, was positive, so it stays as a positive 4. Then you need to undo the division. And you have a positive 12, so you're going to multiply times a positive 12, both sides. The 12 cancels out, that leaves D, and we have a positive 4 times a positive 12, which is a positive 48. Your answer is D equals 48. Negative 2n minus 63 equals 47. First you need to undo the subtraction, which is the minus 63, and we need to do the inverse operation by adding 63. That cancels out the minus 63 and leaves us with negative 2n. You have a positive 47 and a positive 63, so you're going to add them and keep the sign. 7 plus 3 is 10, 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 1 is 11, and we keep the positive sign. Then we need to undo the multiplication, which is this negative 2 times the n. So we will divide by negative 2, keeping that same negative sign on both sides. This cancels out the negative 2 and leaves us with just n, which is what we want. Then we have a positive 110 and a negative 2. A positive divided by a negative is a negative, and 110 divided by 2 is 55. Your answer is n equals negative 55. Now let's look at the steps for solving multi-step equations. These are equations with multiple terms in them. First, you need to distribute if there are any parentheses in it. Then you need to combine like terms. Then you undo addition or subtraction, and then undo multiplication or division. You'll notice that steps 3 and 4 are the same as just two-step equations, but now we have the added first two steps that we need to do before we get to that point. Let's try some examples. Solve for the given variable. 3n minus 40 plus 2n equals 15. The first step is to distribute, but there are no parentheses, so we can just skip that. The second step is to combine like terms. Let's look at the different terms we have. We have a positive 3n, we have a negative 40, we have a positive 2n, and then we have 15 on the other side of the equal sign. You can see that 3n and 2n can be combined because they both have the same letter variable n. Negative 40 or minus 40 does not have any other constants, so that one will not need to be combined with anything. So 3n plus 2n equals 5n. Then we bring down the minus 40, the equal sign, and the 15. Now we're ready for the next step. Now we need to undo the addition or subtraction. In this case we are subtracting 40, so we do the inverse operation of add 40. That cancels out and leaves us with 5n. Then we have a positive 15 and a positive 40. They're same signs, so we add and keep. 40 plus 15 is 55, and we keep the positive sign. Now it's time to undo multiplication or division. We have a 5 and an n together, which means it is multiplication, and we need to get rid of that positive 5. The inverse operation is to divide by 5. That will cancel out the 5's and leave us with just n. 55 divided by 5, both are positive, so the answer is positive, and 55 divided by 5 is 11, so your answer would be n equals 11. You could always plug this back in and see if it works. We have 11 times 3 would be 33, then we have minus 40, then we have plus 2 times 11 would be 22. When you add 33 and 22 together, you will get 55, and 55 minus 40 is 15, which was our answer. That's a way to check it. Negative 4 plus 10x plus 8 equals 44. Again, there are no parentheses, so we don't need to distribute, but we can combine like terms. Let's look at the terms we have. We have a negative 4, a positive 10x, and a positive 8 with the positive 44 on the other side of the equal sign. We only need to combine on this side of the equal sign, so we will look at the constants which can be combined. You have a negative 4 and a positive 8. There are different signs, so you subtract and you get 4, and the sign of the larger number was a positive. Then we bring down the positive 10x, the equal sign, and the 44. Next step is to undo addition or subtraction. Right now we have the 10x in the middle, and we want to get rid of what is with it, which is this positive 4. So if you add 4 to it, the inverse operation is to subtract 4. So that gets rid of that 4 and leaves us with just 10x. Then we have a positive 44 and a negative 4. They're different signs, so you subtract. 44 minus 4 is 40, and the 44 was a larger number, so we keep the positive sign. Last step is to get rid of the multiplication or the division. And right now we have multiplication because we have the number and the x touching each other with no operation in between. So the inverse operation is to divide by 10. That cancels out the 10, leaves x. We have a positive divided by a positive, which leaves a positive, and 40 divided by 10 is 4. Our answer is x equals 4. 7 times the quantity of x minus 3 equals negative 21. The first step is to distribute, and in this case we do have parentheses and we need to distribute. We will be sharing that 7. So if I do a circle, square, square equals negative 21, I can find out what goes in the circle and square. 7 is being shared, so that goes in each of the circles. Then we have an x that we bring down and a negative 3. 7 times x is 7x, a positive times a negative is a negative, and 7 times 3 is 21. Then we have equals negative 21. Now it's time for the next step, undo addition or subtraction. Here we are subtracting 21, so we need to add 21 to both sides. That cancels out the 21 and leaves us with 7x. A negative 21 and a positive 21 are different signs, so we subtract and we get 0. The last step is to undo multiplication or division. Here we are multiplying because the 7 is times the x, so we divide by 7. That cancels out the 7 and leaves us with just x. 0 divided by any number is 0, so our answer is x equals 0. D. Negative 2 times the quantity of x minus 1 plus 5x equals 8. Our first step is to distribute, so we will look at just this area that has the parentheses, and we're going to share the negative 2. So I will draw a circle, a square, a circle, a square. I'm going to bring down everything else just so we don't forget it. So I have plus 5x equals 8. The negative 2 is being shared, so that goes into the circles. The x comes down to the first box and the negative 1 in the second box. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. A negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 1 is 2. Then I bring down the positive 5x or plus 5x equals 8. Now we need to combine like terms. We have a negative 2x term, a positive 2, and a positive 5x, and then the 8 on the other side of the equal sign. We're just going to focus on this side. We can combine the x's because they use the same variable. So a negative 2x plus 5x, different signs, so you're going to subtract 5 minus 2 is 3. We keep our x, we keep the sign of the 5, which was positive, and you bring down the plus 2. You bring down the equals 8, and now it's time for our next one. The next step was to undo addition or subtraction. So here we have plus 2, and we need to get rid of it, and the inverse operation is to subtract 2 from both sides. That cancels out the plus 2 and leaves us with 3x equals. Then we have a positive 8 and a negative 2. They're different signs, so we need to subtract. 8 minus 2 is 6, and we keep the sign of the 8, which was a positive. And last, you undo multiplication or division. We are multiplying 3 times x, so we need to divide by 3 on both sides. That cancels out the 3. That leaves us with x equals a positive divided by a positive, which will be a positive, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Your answer is x equals 2. Try these on your own. Remember to distribute first if necessary, and then combine your like terms. Next, you undo the addition or subtraction. You undo your multiplication or division. You can show your work, and make sure you watch your signs. Negative 10 plus 3n plus 7 minus 6n equals negative 18. You should have seen that you don't need to distribute, there are no parentheses, but you can combine like terms. You have a negative 10, a positive 3n, a positive 7, and a negative 6n that we worry about on this side of the equal sign. We can combine the positive 3n and the negative 6n. They're different signs, so we subtract, and that is 6 minus 3 equals 3. Keep our n, and 6 was the bigger number, so we keep the minus sign. Then we can combine the negative 10 and the positive 7. Negative 10, positive 7, different signs, subtract. 10 minus 7 is 3. The 10 was the bigger sign, the bigger number, so we keep that sign, which is the negative sign. Then we bring down the rest, which is equals negative 18. Then you need to undo your addition or subtraction. Right now we are subtracting 3, so we need to add 3 to both sides. That cancels out that minus 3 and leaves us with negative 3n. We have a negative 18 and a positive 3. They're different signs, so you subtract. 18 minus 3 is 15. 18 was the bigger number, so you keep the negative sign. Last step is to get rid of multiplication or division. Right now we are multiplying because the negative 3 is touching the n, so we need to divide by a negative 3 on both sides. Don't forget that negative sign because that goes along with the 3. That cancels out the negative 3 and leaves us with just n. We have a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. Your answer should have been n equals 5. You could have plugged in n equals 5 up into the equation just to check your answer, and you would have had a negative 10 plus 3 times 5 plus 7 minus 6 times 5 equals negative 18. Then you would change this to negative 10 plus 3 times 5 is 15 plus 7 minus 6 times 5, which is 30, and that should all equal negative 18. And negative 10 plus 15, you have different signs, so you subtract. 15 minus 10 is 5. Then you add the 7, which is 12. Then you have 12, which is a positive, minus 30, different signs, subtract. 30 minus 12 is 18, and the sign of the larger number was the 30, which was a negative, so that means that we had the correct answer. 2. 2 times the quantity of n minus 1 equals 6. First, you should have seen that you need to distribute. We have a 2 being shared by an n and a negative 1. So you could have drawn your circle square equals 6, and you would have shared the 2 and put that into the circles. You would have brought the n down into the first square and the negative 1 down in the next square. 2 times n is 2n, a positive times a negative is a negative, and 2 times 1 is 2. Then bring down your equals 6. Now it's time to get rid of this subtraction, the minus 2. We need to add 2 to both sides. That cancels out the minus 2 and leaves us with just 2n. Then we have a positive and a positive, so same signs, add and keep. 6 plus 2 is 8, and we keep the positive. Last, we get rid of this multiplication, the 2 times n, by dividing by 2. That cancels out the 2, leaves just n. We have a positive divided by a positive, so the answer is positive, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, so your answer is n equals 4. Remember that you can check your work by just plugging it in. So if you plugged in a 4 anywhere there was an n up at the top, you would have 2 times 4 minus 1 equals 6. 4 minus 1 is 3, and 2 times 3 does equal 6. So we would have had the correct answer. Number 3. 2 times the quantity of m plus 6 plus 4 equals negative 2. The first thing you need to do is get rid of these parentheses, and you do the distributive property. We only need to worry about this section here with the parentheses. So I will draw a circle square, bring down everything else. Plus 4 equals negative 2. My 2 is what is being shared, so that goes into the circles. I have the m brought down and a positive 6. 2 times m is 2m. A positive times a positive is a positive. 2 times 6 is 12, and then plus 4. This should equal negative 2. Now it's time to combine like terms. We have a 2m, a positive 12, and a positive 4 we're looking at. We can combine these constants right here. 12 plus 4 is 16, and keep the sign, which is a positive, and bring down your 2m. Then it equals negative 2. Now we're going to undo this addition, the plus 16, by subtracting 16 from both sides. That cancels out the plus 16 and leaves us with just 2m. A negative and a negative are same signs, so we add and keep. 16 plus 2 is 18, keep the negative. Last thing we need to do is get rid of this multiplication, the 2 times the m, so we're going to divide by 2. That cancels out the 2 and leaves m equals, the negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. Your answer is negative 9. Just to check it, we would do 2 times negative 9 plus 6 plus 4 equals negative 2. The negative 9 and the positive 6 are different signs, so we subtract 9 minus 6 is 3. Keep the sign of the 9. So now it's 2 times 3 plus 4. 2 times a negative 3 is a negative 6, plus 4 equals a negative 2. And then we have a negative 6 and a positive 4. They're different signs. Subtract 6 minus 4 is 2. Keep the sign of the 6, which is a negative, and you'll see that our answer does equal negative 2, and it was correct.